As we moved into the fall months of 2024, instances of notable severe weather or even thunderstorm activity were all but absent across our area. This is pretty typical for northeastern Florida, as the ingredients that help fuel thunderstorms become pretty sparse after we get through around the middle of September. Don't get me wrong, we still saw notable weather, such as impacts from Hurricane Helene and Milton, but when it came down to the usual things I talk about on First Coast Storm Tracking, we didn't have much luck. That was until December 11th, 2024. On that day, a strong frontal boundary was getting ready to push through the eastern United States. We had already seen numerous frontal boundaries throughout the fall, but they often passed through dry. This front would be quite different, however, as a quick-moving but robust squall line accompanied its passage. Within the squall line, an embedded downburst would roll right over our area, making for quite the show. But before we get to that, let's go over the synoptic setup for the day and look a bit closer at just what happened on December 11th. Looking back at the morning area forecast discussion for the day, the main event was expected to be the aforementioned squall line preceding an incoming cold front. This cold front was associated with a series of low-pressure areas positioned far to our north in mid-Atlantic states such as North Carolina and Virginia. Severe weather was an outlined possibility both in our local forecast and on the national scale through the Storm Prediction Center. A marginal risk extended through much of the Florida Peninsula, reaching all the way north through the coastal northeast. A slight risk area was also outlined along the coast of North Carolina and up through the same portions of the northeast. According to the Storm Prediction Center's convective outlook discussion, the primary focus for severe weather was expected to be along the mid-Atlantic and northeastern coastal regions, as these areas would see the most favorable conditions due to their proximity to the upper-level trough that was producing the aforementioned cold front. The main limiting factor in those regions would be low amounts of instability, which is common for it being so late into the year. In the same SPC discussion, they mentioned a conditional risk of severe weather for Florida. In terms of our odds of seeing severe weather, it was the opposite problem that the Northeast was having. While more sufficient low-level moisture and instability was available, we were far removed from the main synoptic system, that being the upper-level trough, leading to less favorable conditions in regards to low-level wind flow. Looking at the forecast verification for this event, we could see that severe weather reports were thankfully few and far between, with none of the reports even occurring within the slight risk area. Getting back to our local area, conditions were somewhat favorable for severe weather. However, only one severe thunderstorm warning was issued, with only one report of a severe strength wind gust, which occurred in Duval County. The primary risk forecast with this event was for strong wind gusts, and wind shear was absolutely there. Admittedly, conditions were looking more favorable earlier in the morning, however, bulk shear values of 50 to 70 knots accompanied the line as it approached our area. Low-level moisture was there as well, with precipitable water values ranging from around 1.3 to 1.7 across our area. However, the limiting factor in not seeing more robust thunderstorms seemed to be the instability. Surface-based CAPE struggled to get above 500 joules per kilogram across much of our area, with convective inhibition values remaining over much of our area prior to the squall line passing. Convective inhibition, or SIN, describes what is commonly referred to as a cap in the atmosphere. Generally, this indicates a layer of stable air in the atmosphere. This cap is typically eroded as daytime heating from the sun occurs, but as you can imagine in the cooler months, that is much harder to overcome compared to the summertime. This event also occurred early in the morning hours, so there wasn't much daytime heating to be had in the first place. Mixed layer CAPE was also lacking, barely reaching above 500 joules per kilogram, with again more SIN preceding the incoming front. So while showers and some areas of heavy downpours were able to form within the convective line, these areas were not able to become deeper and more robust, leading to a lack of thunderstorms. However, just because there wasn't much thunder or lightning did not mean that the line didn't pack a punch. Before we get into the footage of the squall line, I'd like to do some radar analysis of the morning of December 11th, leading up to the passage of the line. We start just after 7 a.m. as a line of showers was impacting much of our area, running along a diagonal axis from near Ocala up towards Fruit Cove in St. Johns County. These showers would continue to filter through southern portions of the First Coast until around 9:30 a.m. At the same time, an area of heavy rain and embedded thunderstorms can be seen coming inland from off of the Gulf of Mexico. Looking back at our Cape map real quick, there was notably more instability over the warm ocean waters compared to land, which explains why some thunderstorms were able to form. But you'll notice that lightning becomes much less frequent as these storms move upwards through areas near I-75 out towards Lake City. Also of note is how the storms lose much of their structure as they move inland, splitting into fragmented chunks and looking less like an organized system as time goes on. Swapping over to echo tops, you can see that these thunderstorms quickly begin to lose their higher cloud tops as they left the ocean, translating to less lightning and overall less organization. Towards 10 a.m., a somewhat more well-organized line of heavy downpours and some embedded lightning began to move towards our area from out of the southwest. By 10:30 a.m., this line was approaching the outer edges of the counties to our west, those being Union and Bradford. On reflectivity, the line looks decently well organized, with deep oranges and reds being seen throughout. A special weather statement was issued for the squall line at 10:48 a.m., with the primary threat being for wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour. There were some scattered showers and lighter rain activity ahead of the main band, which would stream over our area leading up to the main event. As the squall line got into the western portions of Clay County, the area of heavy rain within the line seemed to widen drastically, but with the deeper convection becoming overall less concentrated. By the time the line crossed overhead at around 11:20, much of the heavy rain had shifted towards our north, closer to Jacksonville. Also shifting north at the same time was an embedded pocket of heavier wind. The light blues and whites you see on the velocity radar indicate winds ranging anywhere from 50 to 75 miles per hour. Keep in mind that the radar beam is around 2 to 3 kilometers overhead in our area, so these winds are not at the surface. However, as you will see in a moment, some strong winds still manage to mix down to the ground. This embedded downburst seemed to be a pretty localized and short-lived event. As this pocket of strong winds crossed the St. Johns River, it seemed to weaken and become less widespread. With the radar analysis out of the way, we can finally get into the footage. We start out just before 11:30 in the morning as the narrow convective band began to work its way overhead. What started out as a breezy light rain quickly turned into a heavy downpour with ferocious wind gusts.
Holy hell, you see what the trees are doing? Bit of a windstorm, it looks like. Oh my god. I think this might be a downburst, maybe. If not that, the leading edge. Hold on. Whoa. Whoa. Oh my god. Woo. That's got to be at least a good, like, 30, 40 miles per hour there. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Look how it's training off the roofs over there. Oh my god. That's more than I expected. I don't know if it's that bad yet, but it's definitely possible. The leading edge isn't even here yet, so I guess we'll see what happens next. Look at how it's blowing. Holy shit, dude. Woo. Oh my god, it's stuff's going flying and shit in here. Oh my god. The way the trees are whipping in the background. Whew. Oh my god, dude. This is incredible. And then it knocked the fence loose again. It knocked the fence loose again. Wow. It's knocking branches off the tree. Wish I had the anemometer. It's in the bag in one of the side pockets. Wow. I don't know how much longer it's going to be going for, but that's incredible. Holy hell. Oh, it looks like the clearing's coming through. That was incredible. Whoa. 28. Huh? Weird. Yeah. Whew, wow. Um. Okay. I was not expecting that. That was insane. And the sun is coming out right behind it. At least the blue skies are. Holy hell, man. Uh, the peak reading I got on the anemometer was 28 miles per hour when I went and stepped out there, but that was not during the peak of the gust. If I had to guess, I was at least like a good 40 because that was knocking branches off of our trees. I see branches down in some of the trees along the pond. Oh wow, that was incredible. Not expecting that at all. No lightning, but that was definitely a show worth seeing. Man, I've never, well, I have before plenty, but this is a pretty apt thing for Florida. We just got like pummeled by the wind, and if you look, the sun's out. It's all nice now. Wow, that was just crazy to think. Just 5 minutes ago, we were getting blasted like that.
According to our weather station out back, the peak wind gust we saw from the downburst reached 42.7 miles per hour, which, while not reaching severe limits, is still a pretty notable wind gust. This was in line with the special weather statement that was issued for the line as well. Following the passage of this squall line, temperatures would slowly start to decline for the day before dipping pretty dramatically around 1 p.m. Between 1 and 2 p.m., the temperature dropped 8 degrees, along with the dew point dropping 12 degrees. Cold air followed behind the front, with the lows that night falling down to around 43 degrees. Overall, we picked up only a quarter inch of rain between the prefrontal showers and the main squall line. Across northeast Florida, there was only one severe thunderstorm warning, which was issued for Marion County, with the primary threat being 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. However, there were no reported severe winds or damages from the storm. There was one gust that reached severe limits, and it was outside of the storm in Marion, and it occurred at Naval Station Mayport in Jacksonville. The gust reached 59 miles per hour, which is just 1 mile per hour over the minimum speed that is considered severe. No damage was reported from this gust or its associated storm. The squall line that impacted our local area on December 11th was quite surprising. Frankly, I wasn't expecting much out of the line, seeing how much of the convection did not hold together after coming in off the Gulf and the time of year, but this storm proved my expectations wrong. I hope you enjoyed my brief analysis of this storm. If you did, leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It goes a long way, and it lets us know that you enjoy what we do here. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.